Verstappen and Hamilton come together again.
Please do it now.
Formula One has always promised edge-of-your-seat drama with cars locked wheel to wheel.
Yep, it's Lotus versus Ferrari, and those two have we've got pairs.
As drivers hunt every tenth of a second. Yet, too often, a single team discovers a decisive edge, whether through clever interpretation of new regulations, an innovative design, or sheer financial muscle.
They make contact. Michael Schumacher round. Will he?
Oh, the big smash there. It's Lewis. He's gone straight into him as well.
Antonio, turn the car off, please, mate. Turn the car off if you can hear me.
And proceeds to steamroll the competition. Such eras of prolonged supremacy may showcase remarkable engineering feats and driver mastery, but they also risk draining the sport of its suspense. Over the decades, from the mechanical mayhem of the 1950s to the modern-day Red Bull juggernaut, Formula One has cycled through repeated chapters of one-team domination. In this expanded overview, each key era is examined in detail, revealing how sustained hegemony can dull the spectacle, and why Formula One must continually strive to preserve genuine competition, reliability, roulette. The early years, 1950s to 1960s. In the nascent years, following the establishment of the World Championship in 1950, Formula One cars were as likely to retire from mechanical gremlins as to cross the finish line first. These early machines were fragile, engines overheated, gearboxes seized, and suspensions collapsed with alarming regularity. As a result, stringing together multiple victories or even finishing a season without frequent retirements was a tall order. Privateers and fledgling factory teams operated on shoestring budgets, relying on patched-together parts and minimal testing. Open regulations invited radical experimentation, six-wheel designs, pioneering aerodynamic shapes, and a variety of power units competed for dominance. But often, ambition outpaced reliability. Jim Clark's talent was undeniable. The Scotsman's smooth style and raw speed could have yielded 4 or 5 consecutive wins under better mechanical luck. Yet, his Lotus suffered breakdowns that truncated winning streaks before they could grow. From 1958, when the Constructors' Championship was introduced, through the close of the 1960s, no driver clinched back-to-back world titles, and only Cooper and BRM fashioned 2 successive Constructors' triumphs. Across that decade, 7 different individuals ascended to the driver's throne, reflecting a grid shaped by mechanical fortune, rather than sustained team superiority. The era laid the groundwork for future stability, but in those early years, victory was as much a matter of survival as of speed. Lotus and Ferrari's first runs, the 1970s. As the 1970s dawned, Formula One began to see greater technical stability and growing team investments. But the rulebook still left room for engineers to stretch their imaginations. This decade spawned some of the most iconic and experimental as cars in the sport's history. Lotus's pioneering ground effect designs, Tyrrell's quirky 6-wheeled P34, and Ferrari's potent flat 12 engines. Such innovation produced fleeting bursts of dominance. Lotus captured consecutive constructors' titles in 1973 to 1974, and Ferrari reeled off 3 straight from 1975 to 1977, but no team could maintain an unassailable grip on both championships. On the driver's side, the 1970s yielded an extraordinary diversity. 7 distinct world champions, ranging from Emerson Fittipaldi to Jody Scheckter, claimed success. This variety stemmed from several factors. First, budgets, while increasing, remained more modest than in later eras, preventing permanent resource imbalances. Second, private testing facilities were virtually non-existent. Teams generally shared public tracks for practice, limiting any one squad's ability to amass secret data. Third, regulation changes, such as adjustments to aerodynamic rules, kept the development window open for competitors to catch up quickly. Racing during this era was defined by raw spectacle and unpredictability. Fans packed terraces to witness cars that looked more like science experiments than production-derived machinery. Genuine innovation could vault a mid-tier team into contention on any given weekend, yielding surprise podiums and memorable berm battles. Although sequences of back-to-back titles emerged, the constant technical flux and tighter resource distribution meant that mid-season slumps and resurgent challengers kept races lively. The 1970s stand as a testament to how creative freedom and closer budgets can sustain both technological advances and on-track excitement. The Big Three in the 1980s. The 1980s heralded the rise of well-funded specialist teams. Williams, Ferrari, and McLaren began rotating championship honors. Frank Williams' eponymous squad captured the first two constructors' titles of the decade, 1980 to 1981, only to cede ground to Ferrari in 1982 to 1983. McLaren then dominated 1984 to 1985, before Williams bounced back in 1986 to 1987. Superficially, the trophies traded hands. Underneath, however, the pattern foreshadowed deeper splits in performance and budget. In race wins, Williams often led, scoring 9 victories in 1986. Yet McLaren, Lotus, and other outfits still claimed sporadic success. The sport's real transformation arrived when McLaren partnered with Honda's turbocharged V6 engines. Between 1984 and 1986, Niki Lauda and Alain Prost sealed 3 consecutive drivers' championships, marking the first time in F1 history a team achieved such a feat. Though Williams interrupted in 1987, McLaren rebounded to notch 4 more drivers' titles from 1988 to 1991, shared between Prost and Ayrton Senna. The 1988 MP4/4 remains legendary. 15 wins in 16 races, which is a 93.8% success rate, left rivals scrambling. Yet the McLaren era retained spectator interest, thanks to intense intra-team rivalries. Prost versus Senna became the sport's defining duel, with their contrasting styles and personalities fueling fan fascination. This era shows how a dominant car can still coexist with gripping personal battles, which is an important lesson for balancing supremacy and drama. Ferrari's Schumacher juggernaut, 1999 to 2004. As the new millennium began, Ferrari, under the leadership of Jean Todt and technical director Ross Brawn, crafted what many consider F1's first true dynasty, capitalizing on uncapped testing, virtually limitless funding, and Michael Schumacher's unmatched skill. Ferrari secured 6 straight constructors' titles, 1999 to 2004, and 5 drivers' crowns, 2000 to 2004. The combination of Schumacher's consistency and the F2002 and F2004 chassis yielded breathtaking dominance. Ferrari's private Fiorano test track allowed exhaustive data collection in secret, while the sport's lack of a budget cap enabled sustained investment in research, development, and top-tier personnel. Schumacher, renowned for his precision and mental toughness, extracted every ounce of performance. In 2002, Ferrari won 15 of 17 Grands Prix, an 88.2% win rate, and in 2004, they triumphed in 15 of 18 races, 83.3%. Such tallies throttled competition and spectators' interest. While these seasons showcased peak technical achievement, they also marked a low point for unpredictability. Victories felt preordained. Ferrari qualified on front row, Schumacher led from lights to flag, and the paddock's other teams settled for minor battles. Occasional mid-season regulation tweaks offered slight course corrections, but rarely did they dethrone the red cars. Fan reaction was mixed. Admiration for Ferrari's engineering and Schumacher's prowess mingled with frustration at the lack of genuine contest. Red Bull's first reign with Vettel, 2010 to 2013, following a brief resurgence of competition from 2005 to 2009, where Renault, McLaren, and BMW Sauber each tasted success. Red Bull Racing, which was guided by aerodynamicist Adrian Newey and powered by Renault engines, embarked on a 4-year reign. Sebastian Vettel captured consecutive drivers' championships from 2010 through 2013, while Red Bull clinched the constructors' crown each year. The 2011 RB7, in particular, was a near perfect machine. It set the fastest lap of the weekend in every race except one, and claimed 9 victories. Yet, unlike Schumacher's unchallenged Ferrari, this era featured moments of drama. Fernando Alonso's lone triumph at Valencia in 2012 peeled back the curtain, and Mark Webber's occasional podiums injected some variation. Nevertheless, for most seasons, Red Bull's package proved too strong, and championships were often decided months early. Mercedes' hybrid hegemony with Hamilton, 2014 to 2020, the introduction of 1.6-liter V6 turbo hybrid power units in 2014, reset the grid. Mercedes-AMG Petronas, however, capitalized on years of early hybrid development and unparalleled budget, forging an era of unrivaled success. From 2014 to 2020, Mercedes secured 7 consecutive constructors' titles, and Lewis Hamilton added 6 drivers' championships to his resume. Reports suggest Mercedes poured over $500 million per year into their program, with roughly $150 million earmarked for engine research alone, figures that dwarf today's budget cap. Their W05 2014 secured 16 wins and 18 poles in 19 races, and subsequent W06 and W07 models continue the onslaught, with the W07 clinching 19 wins in 21 events, a 90.5% win rate. While Nico Rosberg briefly disrupted Hamilton's streak in 2016 and Ferrari chipped away in 2017 to 2018, the Silver Arrows largely enjoyed processional Grands Prix. Despite Hamilton's spectacular overtakes and record-breaking pole positions, many fans lamented the formulaic nature of race weekends. Strategies and pit stops provided flashpoints, but they rarely overturned Mercedes' supremacy. Young talents at rival teams struggled to secure victories, and some drivers, disheartened by perpetual second-place machinery, considered leading the sport. The Mercedes era underscores how dominant engineering and vast resources, combined with a stable driver lineup, can stretch the sport to breaking point in terms of competitive balance. Mercedes won the Constructors' title also in 2021. Despite Verstappen winning the Drivers' Championship, Red Bull's new order, with Verstappen 2022 to 2024. In 2022, Formula One's sweeping aerodynamic overhaul aimed to close the midfield gap and spark closer racing. Instead, Red Bull Racing, drawing on Adrian Newey's unparalleled ground effect expertise, seized the initiative. Max Verstappen exploited the RB18 and its successor, the RB19, to extraordinary effect: 17 wins in 22 races, 77% in 2022, and a staggering 21 victories in 22 outings, 95.5% in 2023, surpassing every previous single-season record. Verstappen's brilliance, combining fearless overtakes, impeccable tire management, and cool-headed consistency, melded perfectly with Red Bull's operational excellence. Pit stops became art forms, strategy calls were ruthlessly precise, and few moments went unexploited. While Sergio Perez occasionally sprinkled podiums into the mix, the narrative rarely deviated from Verstappen's march to victory. Fans have described recent Grands Prix as foregone conclusions, with speculation swirling about whether any rival can close the gap before 2026 regulation changes. This modern Roman Empire Formula One prompts critical questions. When one team harnesses new rules most effectively, is it acceptable to let them run unchallenged for multiple seasons? Or should the FIA consider mid-cycle tweaks to restore competition? The Red Bull Verstappen era showcases technical genius and driver excellence at its peak, but also highlights the risk that prolonged hegemony poses to fan engagement, sponsor interest, and the very essence of Grand Prix racing. As an unpredictable spectacle, Red Bull Racing's dominance in Formula One was fierce but relatively short-lived, peaking between 2021 and 2024. Max Verstappen showcased incredible consistency and talent, clinching 4 consecutive drivers' championships during this period. However, despite Max's individual brilliance, Red Bull could only secure 2 constructors' championships in those 4 years. Their grip on the sport began to loosen midway through the 2024 season, when McLaren made a stunning resurgence. With a blend of sharp strategy, rapid car development, and rising talent, McLaren began challenging Red Bull's dominance, race after race. Their momentum grew so strong that by the end of 2024, the paddock and fans alike were forced to take notice. As Red Bull's era started to fade, McLaren's rise hints at a possible shift in power. Could McLaren be on the verge of starting the next great Formula One dynasty? Throughout its history, Formula One has oscillated between eras of mechanical mayhem, periods of wild technical experimentation, and epochs of one-team hegemony. Each chapter, from the unreliability of the 1950s to the Schumacher Ferrari juggernaut, Vettel's aerodynamic rocket ship, Hamilton's hybrid dominance, and now Verstappen's ground effect empire, showcases engineering brilliance and driver mastery. Yet, every era of sustained supremacy has also chipped away at the sport's unpredictability, risking viewer fatigue and diminishing the thrill of competition. To preserve Formula One's crown as the pinnacle of motorsport, regulators and stakeholders must balance innovation with measures that temper runaway advantages. Enforcing robust budget caps, ensuring equitable testing opportunities, and introducing calibrated regulation adjustments can help foster closer contests without stifling creativity. Only by cherishing both technological excellence and genuine competition can F1 continue to deliver the wheel-to-wheel drama that has captivated fans for 7 decades and ensure that, on Sunday afternoons around the globe, no victory is ever taken for granted.